tired. It's Friday, but we here.
We here. Are you 100% like, I feel like I need to back the camera up because it's too close to my face. Hold on. But are you like a 100% entrepreneur, like work for yourself, or what are you currently doing right now?
Yeah, right now I'm working for myself, freelancing.
Hmm.
I do dibble and dabble with labels. My last role, I was at a touring company actually, like touring slash a record label. So that was pretty fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got to work on Erica Badu's last
Ooh.
tour, the Unfollow Me tour. Mhm.
What? Oh my gosh. Yes, Miss
Yeah,
Badu.
yeah,
I
it was
love
really, it
that.
was really cool.
Well, to introduce everyone, so this is KB Bryant. We have known each other for some years. I was first introduced to KB. I feel like I started following you before we even started working together. Like I remember following you during Summer Walker's like over it rollout or still
Mhm.
over it rollout with the hard
Yeah.
drive and everything. And then I remember us connecting for Zaya Bell's like Yam Greer thing as well. So I was really excited to work with you. And then even following that, seeing the rollout that you did for 95 Civic for Dende, like I'm a super fan of your work, obviously, like not
Thank
me with your
you.
resume just ready to fucking go, but why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hey y'all, I'm Kayla. You can call me KB. I am a creative director, creative marketing. Honestly, all the things of, things to do in the music industry. I like to tell stories, help artists tell their own stories, and I am also the owner and creator of KB For Real interview series where I do interview artists, tastemakers, curators, etc.
Yes.
And fans.
I love KB for real. I feel like you used all of your gifts that you always use to help elevate other artists. You use that for yourself and poured into yourself to build a brand for
Yeah.
yourself. And I really love to see it.
Thank you. It's been really fun, like using my skills on myself and like really putting them to the test because it's kind of easy. Well, I won't say it's easy, but
It's easy for you.
if
Sometimes it's okay if it's easy. It's okay if God bless you and it's easy for you. Talk your stuff.
no, what I want to say is it's easier to tell somebody else what they should do.
Right.
So it has been like challenging in the best way possible for like okay, like what am I going to do for me? Like, how am I going to roll this out and tell my own story and, like do all those things? It's been challenging, like in a good way.
Yeah. It's definitely like a self-discovery experience being an
Hmm.
entrepreneur. Like I know with me, when you're in artist management, you just do everything. You're helping the artist however you do. So when I decided to start doing consulting, I had to figure out like, okay, what the fuck am I actually good at though? Like what are my skills?
Right.
Because she's a Jane of all trades. She can do a lot of things. But then when I locked in and discovered I like helping artists develop, and specifically I like helping them develop with like their marketing, and I like helping them
Hmm.
fall in love with digital promotion and just becoming advocates of their art, because even before social media was as heavily depended on for music promotion as it is today, there was radio teasers, there was all this stuff, and artists never
Hmm.
liked doing any of that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's always been a struggle to get artists excited about promoting their art and everything. But that's why I'm such a fan of what you do, because I feel like you help tell stories in such a great way. You
You.
help us experience the album, and everyone is like, what's an activation, what's an activation, and
Hmm.
it's like it's a whole thing. It's a release plan, it's a marketing promotion plan, it's
Hmm.
in real life experiences whether the artist is there or not, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Yeah.
Exactly. And
So
it's a lot of just honestly just spending time with artists and getting to know them and figuring out who they are so you can help them articulate visually or marketing wise their stories.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what is kind of like, when you're getting to know music artists, how do you help them kind of like get it together and like have a brand identity? Because a lot of artists, they don't realize that they're a business and they don't understand that they need to brand themselves. So tell us how you even start.
I usually start my process with just kind of like interviewing them, honestly, just doing like an intro meeting. Like, okay, once we get past the fact of like, okay, I vibe with you, you vibe with me, like I think that, like we'll work well together as a team. I just listen to the music and I come with my own perspective and I just ask them like, this is what I gather from your music, like, is this correct? Okay, so from there I have like my list of questions. Like with Dundee, it was kind of like, what does this card represent to you? What did you and this girl like really go through? What are you willing to share? Like, what's your end goal? Like, I have like a whole questionnaire of like, what's your vision? Where do you see yourself? What do you want people to know about you right now? And then I also spend time, like a lot of time with them, just, in regular life, getting to know them so I can see for myself, like how they are, how they move, what's interesting about them. And I kind of just pick a few things, like maybe three things. It depends on what stage you are in your
Right.
career. But I typically pick like three things that I feel like stands out about them. And I'm like, okay, let's focus on this for this go round and like build out this world visually. So if you have a breakup album and this card is reflective to your breakup album, is like, okay, boom, boom, boom. There we go. That's what we're going to put out to the world this go round as they get to know.
And so usually when music artists come to you, is the music that they want to release 100% done? Sometimes are they in between releases and they need your help just promoting themselves? Or like when do artists
Hmm.
usually tap in, KB?
They kind of tap in like every artist is different. I prefer to start fresh. So like brand new projects, what world are we going to build? Because I'm also like on the A&R tip, like low key. That's how I started
Mm.
actually, but low
Oh,
key.
really?
But mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ooh.
So I like to start there, but if the project is done, I would say like most people come like when their project is about 80% done and they're just, putting like the final touches or, waiting on features and stuff. So
Right.
I get my wheels turning that way, or it's like, okay, I heard the music. These are three things that I picked from the music that I feel theme wise. Is this correct? Okay, let's build upon that. Let's work towards that.
Yeah. Love that. Okay, so she's professionally nosy, and so I heard you, and you said you started off as an A&R. So
Hmm.
I think I got a little too excited and went straight into the branding. So I want to circle back a little bit, and I
Yeah,
would love
circle
to just kind of
back.
know, yeah, like what is your journey? Like, how did you get into the music industry? How did you get to where you are today? Kind of walk us through your path.
All right. My journey has been pretty unorthodox, as maybe everybody's journey in the music industry because it's not typical.
Right.
But
The
I
industry is
was in the,
unorthodox itself,
yeah,
honestly.
it is. So I was in the military, right?
Oh my
Absolutely
gosh.
hated it. Yeah. Let's get into
Wow.
it. I was in
Yeah.
the military. I hated it. So I read this book. I don't know what the book is called, but it was like one of those books where they have like worksheets like in between.
Yeah.
It wasn't the artist way. It wasn't that, but it was like a book for more catered towards women, and like they have questions that prompt you. And pretty much I read this book and my results kept coming back that like I love music. So I started to just research like what are things that you can do in the music industry, because hey, because
Mhm.
I didn't know anything that you can do in the music industry except for be the artist or the manager.
Right.
I'm a bit introverted, so I ain't trying to be nobody's manager. I don't think that I would do that good. I'm
It's
I'm
a
like
lot.
really introverted in that way. So I'm like, yeah, nah. So I like found out what an A&R was, and I was like, oh, what an A&R is what I be doing already, like kind of within my friend group. Like when I was in high school, I was always the person with the new music on my phone. Like I had the playlist like I'm getting put on the aux, but I'll even
You was,
take it
you
a
was
step.
burning CDs?
Yeah, I was burning CDs.
on LimeWire,
That's
on Napster, getting the new.
I'm a little young, so I don't really know that much about burning CDs. Like,
Oh, dang! I'm showing
but
my age. Let me hush.
like maybe like in middle school, low key, like because my dad is also a DJ, so he had me burning CDs for him, like way back when. But yeah, so I was always that type of person, or just like telling people like in high school, telling people like, okay, but are you hip to this artist? But not only knowing the artist, but knowing like the producers, the songwriters, like really into the credits. And I
Right.
thought that that was like normal, but it's like it's normal, but it's
Yeah.
not. Like I feel like it's more normalized nowadays.
Oh, totally.
So that book pretty much like brought back all of those memories, like, oh, like you really love music for real. So I basically applied for this program where I can get out the military 6 months early to
Mm.
go do an internship. So I landed my internship at LA Reid's label Hitco, moved
Mm.
to LA a month before the pandemic started. That was
Oh
very,
my God.
yes, very scary times.
Yes.
I see Bree in the chat. She was my first roommate in LA.
Hey.
And she helped me out throughout my music industry journey as well. So that's pretty much how I got my start. So there I was a A&R and marketing intern, and then from just like before I like officially even got an internship, I was making playlists, and I was like putting new, like kind of how like a a Yams playlist is
Right.
today, or like something similar. Like I was kind of doing that on my own
Mm-hmm.
page, or like how people do now on TikTok. Like that's what I was doing. And then the people that I was building connections with, like Al Doms, Jesse Boone, and just like all of these like new artists, like new brand new artists at that time, I was adding them to my playlist because I was finding them. And then I like
You
eventually,
addicted
as
to
we were,
putting people on, huh? It's
yeah.
something about showing people new music. It's really gratifying.
Yes,
Like,
it's so fun.
yeah.
But as like me and these artists started like growing together in our career, I would A&R for them. So I did A&R for Alzam's last album, Prescribed Overdose, and that was really fun to do. So yeah, that's like how I got my start. Oh, I totally like
Yeah.
forgot a
What
huge
happened
step.
after Ditko, girl? You
Hitco. So I went from Hitco. The pandemic happened. It was like wonky times, but I eventually landed a job at LVRN. So
Mhm.
LVRN was my first A&R job. So I was the assistant to Justice at LVRN, and I A&R the Spotify, Rap Caviar, Freestyle, and then they also had a single attached to it with all of the rappers that they had on the label at that time.
Mm.
That was like my first big like A&R record, A&R placement. Aaron helped me with that. He sent me the beat and we got it done. So yeah, that's I more so started with A&R, but through A&R I realized like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do what I really want to do as far as telling stories in that way. So I kind of like dollied on over to creative marketing, and then creative marketing turned into creative direction.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Come on. Okay, we love a full circle moment. I love how that like just naturally aligned. I feel like you were just
Hmm.
sort of going in alignment, and as you were discovering more about yourself, and then you were kind of discovering the different roles and the possibilities
Hmm.
that are there. But I'm just
Exactly.
but in the way at these huge companies, you know what I'm saying? Like at a really great level. So you're God's favorite. I'm God's favorite. You God's favorite.
We
We all God's favorite. But
all God's favorite. Amen. Hey, gal.
love that. Okay. So back to the branding of it all. Now that we just kind of got some of your backstory, because I was like, wow, I just skipped that and went right into the brand stuff.
It's
Um,
okay.
but okay, so you say when you connect with artists, they kind of already have their music locked in. But what would you say like a brand identity is, and why is it important in the music industry or for music artists when you are,
Mhm.
doing creative marketing for a rollout?
Brand identity is how people talk about you. Brand identity is how people discover you, how people, describe you to other people. Brand identity is everything. The music is everything, of course. The music has to be good. You need to figure out who you are there first, I would say. But branding is so important after you get the music done, because it's like, okay, who are you? If I can, it's like your elevator pitch. That's what
Yeah.
brand identity is to me. Like, how can I describe you in one sentence or three
Right.
words? Like, that's your brand
Right.
identity. And it can change and evolve, like, as you get bigger, as you start to change. But exactly, branding is what stays in the room after you leave. Um,
Mm-hmm.
period,
That
flat out.
taste in the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your second question was,
And why
ho-
is it like important in the music industry, or if you're a music artist and getting ready to release music?
mhm. It's important for a music artist because, again, it's just like, what can I say about you that the music can't, or like, what can you visually like portray to me? What's your identity? Like, I think Tyler right now has a very good, strong like brand identity, right? Like, we may all
I
say different
started
things
dancing.
about Tyler.
You said her name,
Exactly.
right?
That's her brand identity. It can be like your brand identity can literally be the girl who be
Right.
dancing, the girl who be dancing, and then you can add to it like the girl who be dancing, and she got that one song, she always got on some type of like two piece with the afro. That's brand identity. Like,
Mhm.
she's sticking to kind of like she's not being super strict, but she's sticking to like a outline. It's like a era, like, this is where we are in this era, like, this is everything that we're going to do. We're kind of going to like stay in this color palette, or like stay in this type of aesthetic, but like not be too like strict and hard on yourself, where like you're wearing a uniform, but it's like, you know this is what we want people to refer us at as right now. Like, if it's the girl who can dance her ass off right now, it's the girl who can dance her ass off, and she make great songs.
Mhm. Yeah. It's yeah.
But
I feel like branding, it can be seen in different people. Like if we look at bigger artists, like if we look at Doja, her branding for Hot Pink, her
mhm,
branding for Planet her branding for Scarlet, you see her go through different phases of branding and different phases of even her identity. So when we say your brand identity, it really is like who you are. But you change.
mhm.
I mean, you're supposed to. We all change. We all
We
evolve.
all change. We
So
should. I
yeah.
think change is the only thing that's constant. And if you're not changing, what you really doing for real?
Okay.
Like,
If you're not growing, dying, you just you withering
you
away.
know.
It's needed and it's necessary. But yeah, just like you said, it's not like it's not strict. It's not a uniform or anything, and it's a bunch of pieces that really make you identifiable. That's why we call it an
Yes.
identity.
Yes. Exactly.
Absolutely. So what are kind of like some strategies for developing a really great brand identity? And how have you helped music artists in the past? Like when it came to Summer Walker's, hard drive campaign, I feel like a lot, like something that I don't know about everybody, but with me, when I think of Summer Walker, I just think she be chilling. Like she's very talented, but she's not trying to do all that.
Hmm.
So I felt like you making the focus not her and making it the hard drive was genius. So yeah,
Yeah.
tell me about that.
Um. You kind of just answered like my question. You got to know who you are. Um. And when artists come to me, like, I really strive for them to have an understanding of like, okay, who are you? I think it's so easy to look at other people that are doing stuff that, that we like their brand identity. Like, we like The Weeknd, and we like Tyler the Creator, and we like how they, go on to put on these characters. But who are you? Like, they still had to like build up into the point where they were able to get into like full blown characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
come
I
out.
like to just kind of like dial it back. So with Summer, I was able to spend a lot of time with Summer before, like, we didn't just start off with still over hard drive. Like I said earlier, like, I was working at LVRN as an A&R assistant, was more so in marketing's business, but like they're a small company, so it's kind of like it's a good place to learn like everything.
Yeah.
But I was able to spend a lot of time with her and just, kind of get to know her through working under Justice because, he's always with her and stuff. So I was always with her.
Hmm.
And I noticed that, like, okay, she's funny. She's chill. Her fans relate to her in this way. She's at a place in her life where this album need to do something for her. The music is great, but she shouldn't be the one to speak because every time she speaks, her words get twisted. She's very misunderstood. Da da da. So, if we know that about her, and we know our goal, what can we do? What's the
Right.
solution? The solution is to get something to speak, something or someone to speak for her. That's the hard drive.
Hmm.
Something or someone who has a bubbly personality that's going to be for the fans, that's going to feel like a safe space, that's going to relate to them how they relate to Summer's music. So I spent a lot of time like actually studying, why do people connect with her? Why do people connect with her music? It was pain. Like a lot of people like connect with her because they're like, oh, whatever Summer said my man did, he did. Like, kind of jokingly, but it's like her music gets you in your feelings like that. You know what I mean? So I spent a lot of time looking at, how are people connecting to her? Like, I know they like her and I know they like her music, but why? So when I saw that, it was like, okay, you know what? I'm the personality. Like I was the perfect person to do it. I was the perfect personality because I play too much,
Yeah.
and I'm fun. I'm bubbly. When I'm not in my introvert bag. But it's like, okay, when I do make this page, I know that I have to joke with them. I know I have to, laugh at our pain. So because if you're not laughing, you're gonna be crying. So that came the sliding down the wall, throwing up and sliding down the wall. I made that up. That wasn't a thing. I made that word up. Like,
Wow.
but yeah,
You
like,
you got her to slide down the wall.
hmm
That's
I honestly
insane. That was
just
so perfect. Oh my, like it lives rent free in my mind. I like even us just saying that. I instantly just saw the TikTok video
mhm.
or the reel.
Yeah,
Uh,
I honestly just made it a caption in one of the posts, and I seen people gravitating towards it. So we all just kind of, moved with it. And that's another thing, like when I was saying like don't be so strict because you don't know what people are going to gravitate towards. So it's like, set a tone, but just, leave yourself open because even with Summer's hard drive, the campaign, that wasn't her main campaign for that album. That's just the
mhm,
one that took over
mhm,
because it was
mhm.
received so well.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a wife. Who are you talking to? You?
I was ignoring it. I was ignoring it. I'm like, okay. But no, that's fire. I really love to hear that. Do you think comparisons to established artists are damaging for artists who are still developing their brand
Yeah.
awareness? Like comparing an up and coming act to Rihanna, for example.
Yes, absolutely. Stop doing it. I think that I think it just goes back. I don't know if you just joined the live, but you asked me earlier about my process with artists, and I really push for artists to get to know themselves and
Yeah.
get to know who they are and what they stand for, what story that they want to tell in this time in this moment. So when you know yourself, you're not going to be comparing yourself to Rihanna, or you might know like I like Rihanna and I'm inspired by Rihanna. This is what I can take from Rihanna right now that fits me in this moment because I know myself. I think artists, emerging artists, I think that their biggest mistake right now is being on the internet too much
Mm,
and internalizing so much information of what the fans want and what they like and like all of this stuff when they're still in the process of getting to know who they are and what do they like and what do you want to say, what's your point of view, and they just kind of jump into like these big characters. And as much as we do talk about brand identity and we talk about like, oh, you need to like you need to have an era. You need, but your era can just be who you are in this moment. This is your era.
Right.
You're not going to be the same person that you are now in 2 years. So it's like in 2 years you're going to have a different era because you will have changed by then.
Yeah.
So I think that like just when we say eras, it's just kind of like, what story do you have to tell me right now today? How can we build upon that right now?
Yeah.
And 2 years from now, your story will have evolved. I hope you're not talking about the same stuff in 2 years. Like I hope it is, more of a um established, a different point of view. But an era to me is just kind of like, how can you uniquely tell your point of view? And it's like it has to be your point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely think that a lot of music artists get in their way. Like, as a lot of people say, they get analysis paralysis, or they overthink what they're supposed to be doing. They have super overcomplicated concepts. They're pouring hundreds of thousands or even just thousands of dollars into these concepts, and then they have no idea how to create a release plan, how to market it, how to brand it, or and your branding and your marketing, that goes hand in hand with
Mm-hmm.
on with your creative, like with the stuff that you're going to make to be able to promote all of this. And so they have these grandiose ideas and concepts and all of that, but if you're not thinking about who you made this music for and your target audience, because that goes into
Mm-hmm.
your branding too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, who are you speaking to? Like who is the target audience? Who do you want to hear this? Um, it's so much, but I think it really just all comes down to like, how can you tell how can you tell me your story from your point of view? Like,
Right.
don't give me like Summer's hard drive worked for Summer because Summer's personality, you know, it's not going to work for an emerging
Yeah.
artist. J. Cole's approach is not going to work for an emerging artist. And I don't say that to discourage anybody, but I say that to challenge people to just be themselves
Right.
and just be, and also just don't be too hard on yourself. Like, things are trial and error. Like, it took, it took coming up with the Summer's hard drive because we see that Summer is misunderstood. But how do we know that she's misunderstood? Because she had to talk at one point and we saw that she was misunderstood. And it's like, okay, what? I'm sick of this. Like, I'm not going to speak right now. And it's like, okay, like things are trial and error. So it's like, don't think that you have to come up with this grand, big, huge idea and then maybe get discouraged or disappointed when it doesn't get the results that you want. It's like, just learn from those decisions that you have made. And also, some things take time. Like some, like that big idea might be a 2 year from now thing.
Yeah. Exactly. It could be something that you build up to, but
Exactly. You got to prepare them for that.
right, exactly. You can't come out the gate just like, I have a 4-part album. I'm going to release the album in 12 song. Like it's just like, no. Take your time,
Mm-hmm.
introduce yourself, give people
Exactly.
a reason to like you, to
Mm-hmm.
want to support your music, so that when you do get to 5-part album time, it is being released to people who want it and who are anticipating it. And you've
Mm-hmm.
been talking about this, and there's hype around it and excitement for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, everybody just isn't where you are right now. It's kind of like, I think of building a fan base kind of like building any relationship. You don't just like,
You can't give it to them all like that. Like you can't
right,
be asking to marry me first date. Like I know you want to. Like I know we be playing and we be like, like if somebody
yeah,
didn't ask to marry me by day three, like what we really doing? But you can't give it to them all. Like what Nikki said, you can't give it to them all like that. Like
at all.
like hold on, slow down. Like this. We want this relationship to be for life. Like
Yeah,
that's why I was saying earlier. Like, what story do you want to tell right now? You can't give me everything at once. Hold on now. Like
we got
hold up.
piece by piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that goes into the next question. How do you pivot change? evolve as a brand. How do you prepare your audience for it? I think you just kind of do it in baby steps. Like slowly start introducing things. Something that I notice is like with artists, I'm trying to think of an example, but I would say like if an artist is getting ready to change their sound, they might flirt with like two two songs. If it's 14 songs, they might flirt with like this new direction on two
Hmm.
songs and just kind of like see. I don't think that your audience opinion is everything. So if you know in your heart that that's what you want to do, like their opinion isn't everything, they'll warm up to it. As long as you do it with confidence and you commit, they'll warm up to it. But I think that like, just kind of giving them little teasers, like if you want your brand to go from like kind of like, super fun, girly pop to like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I want to be emo. Like,
Yes.
all right, we'll start, dressing a little bit darker. Like, just kind of like, just ease them into it. And then by the time that you fully commit, they're going to just be like, no, like, she kind of been doing that or he kind of been doing that. Like, just ease them into it.
Yeah. This is off topic, but speaking of like black pop artists, like I love like Sad Boy, and
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like I just love her whole look and her whole aesthetic and everything right now. It's very fun.
It's
It's
fun,
it's very
but
fun.
it's dark at the same time.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. With the tears falling down and all of that. But it's that I feel like is she's really like tapping in with her brand identity, and like
Hmm.
her and Aaliyah, who's the ITGIRL, like all of them with that kind of like all black pop kind of vibe that's going on right now. I just feel like thank you. Like being black is not a monolithic experience. Be who you are, have fun with it, create music. And I feel like when you like everybody is wondering like how do I cut through the noise? How do like it's like, how do I make my mark? And by being yourself and
Hmm.
sharing the weird creepy parts of you that you think nobody's going to like, there's actually a lot of people who do.
Yeah, it's a lot
So,
of people that are going to relate to it and like it and, feel less alone. Like, I'm sure when Aaliyah's interlude, decided that, I don't want to just be an influencer. I want to rap. Like, I'm pretty sure that people were relating to her because it's like, oh, yeah, you make fashion music. She makes and it's like, okay, the fashion girls feel her. That's her audience. You
right.
know, Sad Boy. I think that we're still like figuring out like what her sound is, so I can't quite call it, but it's different.
Yeah.
She has a different point of view, and I like it. I'm gravitating towards it, so I'm interested to see like where she's going to take it for sure.
She's a freaking like melting pot. Like you're from Toronto, but I don't know what her nationality or anything is, but it sounds like there's some sort of Caribbean influence in the music and
Yeah,
everything. It's just
I'm
a
not sure either. I want to say Jamaican, but I could be wrong.
right.
So let me just.
Look, my cousins on here. I'm not offending nobody. I'm not saying, not throwing nothing out there. But I feel like talking about like coming as you are and being independent and all of that stuff kind of organically brings me to my next question, which is about the role of authenticity right now and like how important that is. And storytelling and consistency. So after you get your brand identity, I think you kind of then start to get your brand story together. So kind of
Mhm.
tell me how artists who are trying like after they get their brand identity, how do they then share that brand identity through storytelling in like an authentic and compelling way?
Mm, I think through authentic and compelling way, how do you share like your brand story is by like the visuals that you put out, the photo shoots that you do, how you even like how you make your captions, how do you interact with your fans, the interviews that you choose to do,
Mhm.
the press publications, like everything has to feel like this is where I'm going or this is where I'm going. Like it needs to be aligned. Like you can't tell me that, like you can't tell me that you make girly pop music when all of the visuals don't look like that. Like the visuals is you're confusing me. Or
Yeah,
like the interviews that you go on, they're not, fun girly pop. Like I'm conflicted. I'm confused. Like I don't know how to take you. Like
right.
and it's like
Girls
now
are
you're
girls.
confusing me. Like
Yeah,
everything has to be aligned. Like you just like yeah, everything has to be aligned because it's going to add to that story. So it's like the end result is going to be like me and you talking about Tyler. Like Tyler can't be doing like interviews that don't really make sense, or her music videos don't really like her music videos are very like warm tones and
yeah.
all of those things. But if her music videos was to look very like icy cold, I don't know if we would have the same description as her. And we need everybody to like have a similar like sentence about what we have to say about her,
Mhm.
like to know that you really nailed your brand identity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like a good example of maybe showing artists where you can go wrong is with Nicki Minaj's recent release. I feel like there was just so much that she could have done, and it turned into like fake beefs with Meg Thee Stallion, or maybe real beefs with Meg Thee Stallion. And you going on Kai Cenat's, live stream and all of that. But why? Like, is that related to your brand, or did you just do that because Offset went on there and had a good interview and you're like, this is the thing to do? It's like, don't just do a fucking checklist. Like, do
I
things.
don't know. I ain't gonna lie. I'm disagreeing with the Nikki take.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think that I think that all of the press that Nikki did was so intentional, but I think it looked confusing to maybe the people that haven't been tapped into her recently. Like her sitting down with Funny Marco and Kai Cenat, they have been talking for years. Like she has been doing lives with Funny Marco, and like she'll send like little texts to Kai Cenat, and like he'll share stories about what Nikki said and what his family thinks, stuff like
Mhm.
that. And she took a liking to him because they're both Trini. So
Okay.
like that's how their relationship built. So like well, excuse me, Nikki going on their platforms was like, oh, she's showing love to like the newcomers in this game, or like the unorthodox ways, while still like being authentic like to her, because I feel like her brand is kind of like, I'm the queen, I'm going to do what the f I want to do. And she does. I think for a lot of other people it is a checklist because they don't have a relationship built. Like I really truly enjoyed the Kai Cenat, Nikki, and also the Nikki and Funny Marco interview a lot. Like I
Mhm.
really, really enjoyed it. I think we got to see her in a different light because she already has a relationship with them. Um, yeah, and I honestly think Pink Friday 2 was targeted for like her younger fans as well. So I think
Yeah.
that that's something there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause see, look, I'm old, obviously. I remember what it's like in the 80s. So, a lot of these artists who are older than me, by the way, they were grown when I was still a teenager. Now they're creating music for the next generation
Mhm.
who isn't me anymore. And so
Right,
it's
right.
missing me.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. Sorry, I just like lost my voice. But I feel like it's like millennials are getting passed over and we're, it's missing us. And I think another part of that also is because Gen Z artists are not being developed the way that they need to be. And so ordinarily Gen Z artists would be making music for their generation, for Gen Z. And then these
Hmm.
millennial artists would still be making music for me, millennials. And
Hmm.
not happening. These millennial artists are making music for Gen Z because that's relevant and they want to stay young and hip and relevant. But yeah, I guess for me, Nicki Minaj is just such an icon. Like, like she's so iconic. But there are some icons who I just don't think realize how iconic they are. And so yeah, or another rollout that I feel like was really well put together, but I don't know how many saw it, was Jennifer Lopez's rollout of her most recent album.
Okay,
Did you know?
I wasn't tapped into that.
Yeah. And that's my thing is that I don't know who that was for, because I just kept, every time I turned on my Amazon Fire Stick, I saw her thing. And so I was like, let me watch this real quick. And then I watch it, and there's like a documentary, there's a visual album. I went on her Instagram, and there's like little bits and pieces from the documentary that are in her Instagram post. And I'm like, this is like really well thought out, but was it
Hmm.
marketed well? Was the story told properly?
But did you
Like this,
like the documentary?
I watched the whole thing because I liked, like, I used to like shows like Making the Band,
Hmm.
and like, you know, when they used to make the video and stuff on MTV and stuff like that. I like stuff like that. So the documentary was cool. It was cool to see her. It was cool to see her with her new husband, you know, Ben Affleck, who was her old boo. Because when that was going on, I was like in fourth grade.
Hmm.
So, you know, them bringing it back, I was just like, why wasn't this marketed and made relevant for people who would care about it? Like, I just felt like it missed, and it did not. There was so much time, effort, and money and intentionality put into things that it just was not rolled out, and it wasn't told the right way, because
Yeah,
nobody's talking about it the way, like, and who knows, maybe it was a huge success, but for me, something is a huge success when it's undeniable, you know,
yeah.
when everybody is talking about it. When
Hmm.
everybody was talking about Olivia Rodrigo Sour, and like,
Hmm.
I never fucking, she was on Disney Channel while I was in college, so I didn't know who she was, but I learned because Baby Girl had a fire breakthrough album, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, maybe I just have really high expectations for these people with a lot of money, but they just don't know how to tell their story in a way that's relatable, that's going to make us give a fuck.
Hmm. Or maybe like too, if you're only targeting like the older millennials plus, like their type of marketing is really not Instagram. It is like, okay, they're gonna get on that damn fire stick though, or you know they're gonna listen to the radio. They might listen to Sirius XM, like
Yeah.
maybe it's on Facebook, you know.
Ooh,
So
Facebook. Ooh, that. Been on that.
yeah, like,
Hello.
but I think if you want to cross generations, it needs to be everywhere,
Yeah.
like you said. Um, that's an interesting point.
Yeah, I just feel like that's the biggest thing. I think that the pandemic and the rise of TikTok changed the way that people find music. People had to find music in a different way. So it wasn't it being played at the strip clubs or it being played on the radio, because we weren't listening to the radio as much. We weren't able to go out. And so that's why all of this shit went into digital. And then the rise of TikTok was, you know, people in the pandemic showing us how they were making bread and how they're bored at home doing stuff. And so
Hmm.
we got this crave for connectivity through our phone, and then we got a desire for authenticity. And so when the world kind of started to go back to normal and people started doing this curated, perfect, aesthetically pleasing image of themselves,
Hmm.
people weren't connecting with it, you know?
Yeah, I can agree. I think it's, yeah. I have so many thoughts, like I just don't even know like where to start sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, hold on, let me get it
Don't
together.
worry, get it together. And what's up, y'all? We're about to go to our Q&A portion. So if you have any questions for KB about brand identity, brand story, or creative direction and how to put anything together, just hit that question mark at the bottom. Your questions in there, and we'll pull them out.
But yeah, I don't know. I just have so many thoughts. I feel like the best artists adapt to whatever's current at the time. So if back in the day we had more gatekeeping because we had to go through radio, it's expensive to go, on radio. It's
Hmm.
expensive to go on nighttime television or even daytime television. Like those things cost, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? So when the world became more digital, it's like, oh, like I can do this myself. And that's when everybody had something to say, a unique point of view, or a DIY approach.
yeah,
And we got to like build with these artists, or like see them grow and like see them go from like making music in their bedroom to now like they got a song with Drake, etc. And then
that's fucking
TikTok,
crazy.
yeah, like it's crazy. Like we got to see a lot more overnight success because at the end of the day, the fans decide, what's popular.
Yeah,
But at the same time, with this whole DIY approach, people are not getting properly developed because now artists have this mindset of like, I don't need you. What can you say to me? Because I have my fans. Like my fans got me here. Like they have a demand, but do they have longevity?
Yeah.
Not if they don't commit to artist development, whatever that artist development looks like for them.
Yeah.
Or in artist development is all of the things. Branding is included into that artist development, and that's the getting to know who you are, so we know what to do with you. Like if you
Period.
notice exactly, like, and that's where the whole be yourself comes into play, because if you're being one thing I know about myself is I'm an introvert, and like I said earlier, I don't need to be nobody manager. That's one thing that I know about myself. So it's like, what do you know about yourself that you have to pivot on? Because everybody has their strong suits and everybody has their weaknesses. My weaknesses is I don't feel like talking to people all day. I'm not doing it. That's a weakness for me. So if I was an artist, I probably would have to have, somebody speak for me, or like something that represents me, or maybe I don't have a personal page, and maybe I kind of do like Cash Cobain right now, where he has an Instagram page and he posts on his Instagram page frequently. But if you want to like get to know Cash Cobain, like the artist, he
Mm-hmm.
has a page called Slizzy Feed, and that's like everything Cash Cobain. Like it's his interviews, it's photo shoots that he did, it's him talking to his fans. It's like everything lives on that page. And I think also, like, I might be all over the place, but I think the
I'll
way
follow.
that I think that the way that we even consume media is different than how we consumed media 2 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
do you honestly get on Instagram right now and keep up with every single person on your feed?
Hell no.
Or would you rather go to, if you follow all these celebrities, it's hard to keep up, or would you rather go to Yam's playlist and see what happened today?
Right. Yeah.
So I think that artists should kind of like do the same. I think we're getting back to like a approach where things look like official. We're like, okay, if you want to keep up with me, this is everything that happened with me today. Like their page needs to look a little bit like a fan page, or have a actual fan page, and they kind of just fall back from their personal
Yeah.
or something. But yeah, I don't know, it's I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah. No, I feel like we are in a place where we do still like the visually, aesthetically pleasing kind of things. But I think we're in a place where different apps do different things. Like you said, like when I come on Instagram, Instagram is like work to me. But thank God I have different pages. Like I have a
Mhm.
page where it's all about R&B, it's about music, it's about women in music, moms in music. That's all the people that I follow from this page. And when I go on my personal page, that's like my actual friends that I want to see like what they're doing and all of that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but we are in a time where everyone is creating content. Oh no. Uh-oh.
Girl, those your neighbors.
Yeah. I'm like, oh. Sorry, my bad. But everyone is creating content, everyone is releasing music, all of that kind of stuff. And so we want to be told like what to listen to, what to watch. Like we don't want to do the
We
work of
want to
trying to
recap.
figure it out.
I'm not like, people get to a point where it's like, I'm just going to follow the curator, because
Right.
whatever curator that is, like if you're a curator for restaurants, if you're a curator for rap music, R&B music, pop culture, like I'm just going to follow you, because it's impossible for me to keep up with these 5 million artists or 5 million pages like individually.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I can't keep up with all the latest and greatest. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. All right, y'all. This is the Q&A portion. Do we have any questions for KB before I let her go and get back to her life? People
Don't
are
be
still joining.
shy, don't be embarrassing not asking a question.
Right. I've never had a live where people didn't have anything to ask. So let's not have that be.
Oh, they was asking throughout
I
though,
know.
in case they.
That's why I'm like, let me scroll back up because I some questions I wasn't able to answer. Can you share any example of a situation where there was misalignment and what came of it?
um I will say, well, misalignment.
Mm-hmm. like with the branding and the music. I know I can speak on that, and then while you think of one. But for me, for my latest client that I'm managing, Ayana, she is an R&B singer, and she just released an EP in October of songs talking about her first like heartbreaking breakup, but all of the visuals and the pictures and everything was like her in corsets and lingerie. I was like, who are
Mhm.
we trying to market this to? Like,
Mhm.
so when I came on and when we had to work on branding and stuff, we made her content relatable for the girlies, and we focused on it being like about the message and about the breakup songs. Um,
Mhm.
and that's when she started going viral, and that's when her views started getting in the millions, and she got the attention of Monet McMichaels, and that's just her being herself. Like
Oh
she
yeah,
was
I seen that on TikTok.
You said what?
I seen that on TikTok.
Yeah, and
Yeah, when she was like
the video,
filing her nails or something.
Monet
Yeah.
even shared it on her story on Instagram. And that made like the video maybe had like maybe 300, 600,000 views. Now it's at 2 million. So that's the power of just like alignment and of, who I made this music for, marketing your music to who you made the music for. Your brand identity cannot be being fine. And if it is being fine, like you still gotta tell what story are you telling while you being fine?
Yeah. You
Like
gotta it needs to be a balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like there's like a tug and pull with artists because they're so like tied down to maybe it's the aesthetic that they're like tied down to where it's like, oh girl, I don't care what you're talking about. I'm gonna have you on a corset. But it's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, it's like, how can we tie in the message here? Is it the caption? Can we, put something on the screen? Like, can we do something? Like, how do we get back to having an audience find you? I like to say having an audience find you and not you finding your audience. Because like you're the one kind of like leading the charge. Like you're the one who went through this. You're the one who made the song. I feel like saying like finding your target audience feels like controlling like to artists,
mm,
but I think it's all about like having your audience find you. So like
yeah.
what are ways that we can make sure that the people that will enjoy this music find it?
Yes, and we are accepting questions, Tyler. You are here for the Q&A.
Period. I think that mine's froze.
Oh, did it? Damn. Okay. Well, oh, here we go. We got a question. From a brand perspective, do you feel it's necessary or important to know your competitors? Ooh.
mm, yes and no. Early, I would say early on, no, don't worry about it. Because I feel like that's you putting in too much energy looking left and right when you need to be like honing in on what you have to say yourself.
Right.
What it is again, like what it is that you like, what it is that you don't like, what are your non-negotiables, etc.
Yeah.
And then, because it's so easy to get lost in the sauce. And I can even say now from my own experience, like being the artist in my own way, like with having an interview series,
Yeah.
like I spent a second like kind of like shit, everybody got an interview series, like how am I going to stand out? But and I stand out by just doing the work, and then it's like later on down the line it's like, okay, yeah, I know who I want to talk to, like I know the direction that I want to go in. And then when you find that out, sure, maybe for like once you know yourself, yes, I think it's easy to. I think you should know who your audience is, but also know who else is talking to that audience. And then how can you talk to them from a different perspective? What do you like about them? What don't you like about them? What do you want to do differently? And what do you admire or appreciate? Or what can you get inspired by from them? Can you collaborate in any way? Like I will start to think about it like that, not like they my competition, like
Right.
not at all.
Yeah. Exactly. It's if like if you're compared to other people, but you know, they wouldn't even know who you are and you just keep saying like, "Oh, they're doing all the stuff that I would do." Don't have a one-sided beef. That's not how you
Mhm.
want to don't come into this industry just comparing yourself to other people and feeling like they're your competitors when really there's no competition, there's collaboration. You the brand, baby. You the visual, you
Exactly.
like
Collaborate, because the fans, at the end of the day, the fans like that. Like, because we can say that all of the R&B girls or are all of the, female rappers are competitive, but we all love, when they collaborate with each other,
yes, we do.
so and they all have their own. They can talk about the same things, but they're not talking about the same things, like how, like, there's a million ways to talk about Apple,
Right.
or there's a million ways to interview somebody, but like, how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
um
Having a different perspective, having a different point of view, being and going back to that authenticity, that realness, like that's what makes us give a fuck. It makes us fall in love with the person.
mhm.
Okay. For some reason, Instagram says that I've been logged out and is asking me to log back in, but I'm scared that if I click on this, it's going to end the live.
It probably
So
will.
just tap here and we'll log you back in right away. I'm scared. Ah, wait. It went to